Absolutely everyone enjoys hearing jokes in movies, don't they? And when these jokes are more adult-oriented or have a much heavier undertone, sometimes they are even funnier. For example, in Puss in Boots 2, we see a very adult moment in the movie when Goldilocks starts arguing with her bear brother, and he calls her a fake Cinderella. And she responds by calling him a bunch of terrible things, and ends up saying he's sticky, he's full of dingleberries.
Slow thinking, no reading, Lyme disease, flea-ridden, dingleberry bear.
Boom! I haven't got dingleberries.
No, you do. You do have them.
And this word has a few meanings, one of which is that it refers to a stupid and despicable person. But it also means something much heavier, which only adults can understand, related to having bits of poop stuck in the hair around the butt, if you catch my drift. When it comes to furry animals like bears, unfortunately, that's a reality. But the slang wasn't created for bears, it's for people, as this happens to many people who don't shower after doing number 2. Yes, and this happens to adults since puberty brings hair growth all over the body, including there, so Goldilocks really laid it on thick with her brother. This was just one of the adult moments in recent animated movies that you'll learn about with us today. Elemental. Elemental is yet another children's movie with adult jokes from Disney. Apart from the one we've already talked about involving Ember and Wade, towards the end of the movie, we get some hints about how Bernie and Cinder are still quite active, if you know what I mean. When the main couple is about to embark on their journey, Bernie says it's no problem for her to take care of their new life because they'll have more time for, you know. And in reality, the old man wasn't joking, because in the credit scenes, we can see that they put into practice exactly what they discussed on the dock when saying goodbye to their daughter. In fact, it seems like the one who wanted Ember to go on the trip was actually Cinder herself, as she's the one attacking Bernie. Good one.
Your mother and I will be here. Now with more time for hanky-panky.
Shush.
The Super Pets. The Super Pets is a recent movie released in 2022 that brought the superhero pets from the Justice League together in one film. And in this film, there's a joke that's also a reference that only some adults may understand better. In a certain scene, Bat Dog is peeing, and it takes quite a while. So Superman's dog asks how much longer he'll be. During the conversation, Bat Dog mentions that he drinks a lot of water from the dog bowl in Bruce Wayne's mansion, who is Batman. But he also mentions that the bowls are 2 toilets and a bidet. For those who are very young and don't know what a bidet is, it's actually a fixture that's similar to a toilet but without a lid, used by people to shoot jets of water at their buttocks after using the toilet. In other words, Bat Dog was literally drinking contaminated water from a bidet. It's not a fixture you find in most bathrooms worldwide, which is why many people have never seen or heard of it, making it a reference that older folks will certainly understand.
Sorry, you were saying something?
How much did you have to drink?
I had 2 toilet bowls and a bidet.
Puss in Boots 2. The second Puss in Boots movie is simply spectacular, as Puss has to face not 1, but 3 different enemies. But none of them is worse than Juan Trombetta, who is evil just for the fun of it, like a typical villain. However, at the end of the movie, he ends up paying for his misdeeds and is swallowed by a sort of magical lava. And this scene is actually not a joke, but a reference to an old movie that every adult definitely knows, one that marked the history of cinema, Terminator 2 from 1991. At the end of the film, Arnold Schwarzenegger, who plays a robot, also gets engulfed by lava and gives a thumbs up, just like Juan Trombetta does a reverse thumbs up. This is a reference and joke that's practically historic at the same time.
I mean, what specifically?
Elemental. One of the double entendre scenes in Elemental happens when Wade accidentally passes by Ember lying in front of the office, and her bag catches fire, and he says,
You're so hot.
This expression used by Drop has a double meaning, because it can mean that she's actually emitting heat from her body since she's made of fire, but it can also mean that she's very sexy. That's why Spark's reaction is so intense, so to speak. And when Drop realizes he accidentally used a double entendre, he doesn't try to fix it. He only makes the situation worse. The truth is, they weren't quite intimate enough for that kind of conversation at that moment, but that certainly changed after the wedding. And if you've made it this far, it's because you definitely enjoy bits of humor in animated films. So comment below with #jokes if you want animated films to keep including these hilarious moments in their productions. Red. Growing Up is a Beast. If you've watched Red, Growing Up is a Beast, you probably know that Mei Lee, the film's protagonist, turns into a giant red panda when she's 13. And when we stop to analyze, we can see that the entire movie itself is a big joke and an analogy. First, there's the body transformation that typically occurs during adolescence, which is common to 100 out of 100 girls. Second, there's the fact that exactly during this phase, something happens to girls, how can I put this? Something related to the color red. precisely the same color as the panda, which becomes evident when Mei Li is in the bathroom and says she's a disgusting red monster. A clear reference to the moment when girls start menstruating and may be scared to see blood coming out of them, which is normal for all women until menopause, when this stops happening for good. And in reality, despite the fear that may lead some of them to think it's gross, it's not, because it's part of the human life cycle. Adults can understand this much more easily as well. Elemental. Certainly one of the scenes in recent movies that couldn't be left out is the moment when Ember and Wade catch the Earth People couple engaging in, let's say, trimming. It's not entirely clear what exactly they were trimming, but by the embarrassed expressions of the couple and the laughter from both Wade and Ember after witnessing that scene, it's clear that the situation was indeed quite intimate. I think, in a rather ironic and funny way, we've just discovered how Earth children may be born, or at least how they may begin to be conceived.
Nothing weird going on here.
Just a little pruning.
The Super Pets. Returning to the Super Pets, there's another scene that's certainly an adult reference in the movie. One of the characters is Merton, a turtle who gains high-speed powers, similar to Flash from the Justice League. And at a certain moment, she says a swear word that few people noticed, but the original movie editing actually cut. In the scene where Warner had to censor Merton, she states that she's fast now, but she's still blind, and her sight is a... and we see the door closing, and we don't hear her complete the sentence, but we know very well what she said, right?
Update! I'm fast now, but I can't see
Puss in Boots 2. One of the newest characters introduced in the Shrek and Puss in Boots universe that everyone liked without a doubt is Perrito. But the story of this little dog who just wants to make friends and even disguises himself as a cat for it is much darker than you might think. And he tells it as if it were a joke to Kitty and Puss at a certain point in the movie, where he tells them that his brothers used to play hide and seek with him, but as he talks, both Puss in Boots and Kitty realize that in reality, they were trying to get rid of him so they wouldn't find him again. But he was too foolish to understand, and he said that the last game they played was putting him, still a puppy, inside a sock, tying a rock to it, and throwing him in the river. The detail is that Perrito was so foolish that he believed it was all just a game between him and his brothers when, in fact, it was an attempted murder by his brothers. And that same sock in which they put him in is the outfit he still wears today. This is definitely a very heavy story. Elemental. Another scene with a slight touch of adult content in the movie Elemental is one that occurs when Wade and Ember see each other for the first time in the basement of the Fire Girl's father's store. When Wade stands up after ending up there accidentally, we can see that the character has a totally muscular physique, and the detail that few people noticed is that not only is the upper part muscular, but also, let's say, the inspector's glutes are, and at that moment, we can see that Ember subtly looks right at them. So this is undoubtedly one of the adult moments in the movie that went unnoticed by most, but was definitely intentionally included by the production team. Folks, these were the adult jokes we found in recent animated movies to show you. Some dirty, quite literally, like the Bat Dogs, others not so much, but they were certainly fun. And so you don't stop having fun, you can choose one of these two videos we're leaving here for you. I heard the first one is really cool.